Yeah, hi. My name is Dondi. I was born and raised in Brooklyn.
Dondi White wasn't out here just busting tags, he was creating the blueprint. Born in East New York in 1961, Dondi came up in a city that was gritty and raw, where whole neighborhoods were neglected, and the subway yards was the battlefields. But instead of running from it, Dondi embraced it and made a name that shook the five boroughs. Founding the legendary crew CIA, Crazy Insight Artists, in 1977, he brought together top-tier talent and turned the IRT line into his own personal art studios. He had New York City on lock. From day one, Dondi wasn't about bombing for fame, he was about bringing a whole new level of style. He took his time in the cut, studying comic books and taking cues from artists like Jack Kirby. His letters wasn't just about saying his name, they were compositions. Think Leonardo da Vinci meets the Bronx. Clean lines, perfectly balanced forms, and intricate details that will make your head spin. He wasn't hitting up walls with some quick throwies. Dondi was drafting blueprints. And when those fucking trains rolled through the city, it was like watching a parade of colors and narrative in motion. Martha Cooper, who caught him painting live, said Dondi's pieces were stories on wheels. In 1980, Dondi went beyond just burners on the BMT and started doing whole cars that told full stories. That's when he dropped the infamous Children of the Grave series, 3 full car masterpieces that ran the New Lots yard. But it wasn't just about flexing technique. The pieces had a message: decay, struggle, and survival. Harry Chalfant called him the Picasso of subway art because he took something raw and grimy and turned it into pure beauty. But Dondi's skills didn't stay underground. He was featured in the cult classic film Wild Style, flexing in as a stand-in for Zorro, the main character, when Lee took a step back. His painted Zorro train is still one of the most iconic shots in graffiti history. And if you're a true graph head, you've seen his work on the Malcolm McLaren's Buffalo Girls, where he brought the street style into the motherfucking mainstream. Dude was crossing over before crossing over was even a thing. When the MTA started buffing trains and making the yards a war zone, Dondi pivoted. He took that same raw energy into the art world, landing exhibitions at the Fun Gallery and rocking the East Village art scene alongside legends like Basquiat and Keith Haring. By 1984, his work was immortalized in subway art, the graffiti Bible. Dondi put wild style on a global stage, inspiring a whole new generation of writers from New York to Paris. So when we talk about Dondi White, we're not just talking about a pioneer or a legend. We're talking about the standard, a king of the trains who took a can of paint and turned it into a crown. An artist whose name is still ringing in the streets a decade after his passing, because Dondi didn't just paint New York, he painted the future.
I'm here and I want to be heard. I come from the streets. I painted on subways and I feel my work is important. I want people to see it. I want to influence others.